Hi everyone, welcome to another lesson. A cookery lesson that you're going to do today is about stewing food. We are going to cook food using the stewing method. Now in the stewing method, you can stew various foods. You can stew chicken, you can stew lamb, you can stew beef, you can stew vegetables, you can stew even mutton. So there are a variety of meats which you can stew. And in this particular lesson, we are going to make a beef stew. So with me here is 500 grams of beef stew, which I had prepared earlier. We shall also need a few vegetables, some diced potatoes. Have some potatoes with me here. You'll need some tomatoes, green bell pepper, onions, diced carrots. If you have some coriander or dhania, you can also have it that you'll use to garnish your food after it is all ready. So with all our ingredients in place, we shall start the method of stewing food. So first and foremost, you start by cutting the beef into small cubes. This one was cut earlier into cubes. Okay. After we have done that, we peel the potatoes and then we cut them into small cubes, which I had done earlier. However, I will still demonstrate how to dice the carrots and the potatoes into cubes. So you get a carrot and cut it lengthwise into 4 quarters like this, and then you cut it into small cubes. And so there we have our diced carrots, which I shall add to the ones I had prepared earlier. Next, the peeled potatoes, you peel and wash. You also cut them into cubes. I'll take my bell pepper. So use the same process. Cut them into small cubes. It's a very easy process, but however, as you're going through this process, make sure you take good care when you're using a sharp knife so that you don't cut yourself. Lastly, I'll cut the onions. Onions tend to produce a certain fluid when it's being cut that can make us to tear. So in case you experience this, what you can do is just before you cut the onions, you can freeze them, put them in the freezer for around 20-30 minutes like I did. And then when you're cutting them, then it'll slow down the fluids from splashing and causing us to tear. So that's a very nice method to use to prevent you from tearing as you're cutting your onions. So I'm ready now to start the cooking process. I will add some cooking oil. Here's my cooking pot, nice and clean. I will light my fire. Then I'll use some oil. Now, the first thing I will start by is to fry my vegetables. I want to fry my vegetables so that they can maintain their flavor still before I start cooking the meat. So I'll add a little salt, teaspoon of salt. I'll put my potatoes and carrots and shallow fry them until they are brownish. So now we will add the onions. We'll add the onions on our oil. I had started with the oil so that they are able to fry. We fry them until they are golden brown. So you fry the onions until they are golden brown. Here we are. Our onions have turned a little burnt on the surface, just to give it them golden color, but now they are even almost not so white. They have obtained a different color, which means that they are well cooked. So the next thing, now I'll add my beef. So I'll fry my beef until they are brown. This might take around 10 to 15 minutes. So give it time to just seep in the oil and brown. So our beef has browned. It's looking nice and brown. I was stirring occasionally just to make sure that every part of the meat cooks evenly. I'll allow it to cook a little bit more so that the juices can evaporate. So I'll add the green bell pepper and my tomatoes and give it another good mix. So I'll let it cook for another 10 minutes before adding my vegetables. So you want to check whether our meat has browned well. As you can see, it is looking very well cooked, brown, producing a very inviting aroma, and the juices have evaporated. So the next thing is to add our vegetables onto the mixture. So there we have it. So we'll add some water and cover it so that it now cooks for another 10 minutes. Now the sufuria I'm using has handles that are not good conductors of heat, so it is very comfortable for me to hold using my bare hands because the heat is not being transmitted on the handles. However, if you're using a sufuria, don't forget to always use something to hold the sufuria so that you don't burn yourself. You can use hand mittens, you can use a piece of wet cloth, you can use a kitchen towel to hold your sufuria. So we'll let this cook stew for about 10 minutes. Forgot to add some salt. Just a little salt. Then I'll reduce the heat so that it can just cook slowly for another 10 minutes, after which our beef stew will be ready to serve. So our beef stew has been cooking for under very low heat for about 30 minutes and it is now ready to serve. Looks very appetizing. The aroma that is producing is very inviting. You can serve this meal. You can serve your vegetable stew. This is enough for one person. You can either eat it with ugali. You can accompany it with some rice. You can accompany it with chapati. You can use baked potatoes, mashed potatoes, ndoma, or even matoke. So this is a meal that can go with a variety of other foods which you can use to accompany it. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best as you try out this simple recipe in your next cooking lesson. Bye bye.